told our guys in the locker room, all wins are hard. Great to get a home win in front of our home team, crowd, and in our stadium. Just so pleased with the defensive effort. I mean, you think about what they did, especially in the second half, being able to stop the run most of the game, and that was a key to victory that we had to do. 3 takeaways, 2 pick sixes, I believe, since the first time, since 2014. The defense stepped up in a big way, and what a day to do so. You think about last night and honoring Danton Bartow with the retirement of his jersey. I mean, Danton's probably smiling down on us saying, that's my type of defensive game. So certainly that was for him and his family. But, look, a lot of things can be fixed from this game, and it's always easier to coach the guys off to a win. And that's the unique thing is our guys understand it, right? Good, bad, or ugly. There's a lot to learn from it, and it certainly was not a clean game. It wasn't a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination. I used the word last week, consistency, and we got to continue to find it, right? And I think early on, our offense wasn't able to find the rhythm, and I put that on myself. And credit to their defensive coordinator, Phil Bennett, who's done this thing for over 40 years. Man, it's showing 10% pressure, all season, and next thing you know, he's bringing all different blitzes that we hadn't seen since the 80s. So credit to him and their staff. They did a nice job. I've got to do a better job putting our offense in situations during the week to prepare ourselves and make sure we have plenty of answers. It was nice to be able to see us run the ball later on when we need to. Just, a lot of injuries today. At some point, I think we were down 4, 5, or 6 starters in different variations. Hopefully we're okay long term. I'll know that, diagnosis hopefully tonight and tomorrow, but hopefully we get healthy because we know the importance of next Saturday's game, 11 a.m. versus Temple. It's going to be the biggest game of the year because it's the next one. Our guys understand that a lot of work to be done. Pleased with the win, but I can't wait to get back to the drawing board tomorrow morning and see how we can continue to improve as a team.
Ryan, last week, defense struggled to get off the field on third down. Today, it's totally different story. What does that say just about their ability to fix what was wrong from last week?
Yeah, I think that's so much right. I came in here last week, and last few weeks, and said we've got to tackle better, we got to improve, we got to find ways. And you looked at what our keys to victory were as a defense. It was to tackle better, to get off the field on third down, and stop the run. And I think when you look at it, you say, well, they threw for all those yards. Look, anybody that's not pleased with defensive effort, shame on them because it was awesome. It was phenomenal. Anytime you get a chance to get those type of takeaways, it was great. But that shows their mentality, right? They did not have a great week of practice the week before. This past week, it was excellent, clean. And the focus of our entire team, and I've said this, I've been here now 7 years, and 24th year of coaching, the focus of this team and their care to do things right is the best I've ever seen. But we have a lot to work on. And so that's what was great this past week. Defense said, okay, this is stuff we've got to get fixed. This is stuff we've got to do. And guess what? There's still, I ask, and I'll do this after every game, especially wins, and hopefully we get to keep asking this, how many people got a lot of things to work on? I said it starts with me and every person in the locker room, from the grad assistant to the head coach to the nutritionist to the starting quarterback to the backup linebacker. Everybody raised their hand and said, yeah. And that's what's so unique about this team, but it also shows the defensive mindset, the perseverance of this team as a whole, and for that we can hang our hat on.
Hey, Ryan, what went to your decision-making for the 4th down on the first drive of the game?
Yeah, it was the same question that I got asked previously. Am I always going to be aggressive on 4th down? And I think, 4th and 1, the mindset of our offense is you should be able to get 4th and 1 no matter what. It doesn't matter if we don't block anybody, and we didn't execute the play. And, I'm sure I'll ask, and rightfully so on Monday, hey, looking back at the film, would you have still gone for it on 4th and 1? Odds are, I've got a pretty good idea what happened on that play. Probably would have done it again. And we can say play call, this, that. We got to execute better. And maybe I've got to find a way that we're doing that better on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But I think if you asked every single buddy on our team, even the defense included, hey, you guys good with me going for it or us going for it as a team on 4th and 1? I think a resounding yes, Coach. That's it. Keep believing in our offense, keep believing in our defense, and that's great, right? We held them to a field goal. But you go back and say, okay, what do we got to do differently? But I think, I will continue to make those calculated risks if I think it makes sense for our team and our program.
Ryan, was there any changes with the defense you saw besides having a great week, besides anything? Was there something different you saw on the field? I think we saw Matt Barnes out there on the field? Was he on the field calling plays?
Yes, sir. Yeah, so it's been, I think since Navy game, he's been down on the field. So I think he's been up at, Coach Hankins has been upstairs. So, you guys know this. Matt Barnes will stand up here, and he's an intellectual individual. His voice won't get any louder than this, but then in between those white lines, that dude goes, and he's high energy and cares, and I think it's good for our players to see, his passion and love and intelligence for the game. And, him being down there on the field with him is great, and it resonates with our guys. But it's the guys believe in the defense. So there's nothing dramatically, though, as a defense that we change. Just, hey, we got to be better. And it's no different, right? I'm not going to go back and say, okay, hey, let's change the entire offense because it wasn't as productive as we wanted to be today, right? I'm not going to go to Seth and say, okay, we're going to change this. We're going to change. No, how do we get better at what we were trying to accomplish? And I think if we continue to do that, right, we took steps in the right directions in special teams today. Now it's, can we do it again next week and then the week after that? So.
If I recall last year, I believe Kevin Johns was on the field for a little bit. Now Barnes is. What are those conversations like when you talk to your coordinator and just say, hey, maybe this is a tweak that can work? And obviously it worked a little bit with Johns last year, but it's working with Barnes. What are those conversations like when a coordinator wants to come from the booth down to the field?
Yeah, it's having great trust in all the coaches, right? Everybody involved, all the assistant coaches. I've got full faith in everybody in our entire organization. Probably in our football family under my umbrella, there's probably 200 people. And I have to have full faith in all of them, and I do. It's just it makes my job so much easier because I've got such a great belief, not only in our players, but our assistant coaches. And trusting those eyes of those coaches that are up in the booth is huge. And so the rest of the coaches being able to communicate well, see what's occurring, and then be able to relay it to the defensive coordinator. And Coach Barnes, I think it's a good change of pace for him, right? And I think he can see things pretty well there, but we also have great guys in the booth that can see a lot of things that are occurring. And that's what's allowed this to occur, and that will be no different than any other coach, right? And same with the communication on the offensive side and special teams, make sure we're all on the same page. And I ended this morning's staff meeting. We do a staff meeting every morning at the hotel. I just said, let's have the best communication, the best eyes as a staff we've ever had. And I don't care if you've been doing this for 1 year or 30 years. Let's be great. And I thought credit to our coaches, especially on defense, to see a lot of different things and go out there, and the players execute at a really high level on the defense side of the ball.
Hey, Coach, Brandon Thomas looked like the old Brandon Thomas today. So what's kind of changed with that?
Look, Brandon has run hard, and all of our running backs, credit to them, they've run really hard. I say this all the time about the running game. I'll be the first to point the finger at myself. And then I'll say the O-line's got to be better, and then the tight end's got to be better, and the receivers and the quarterback's got to put us in the right situation. But the running backs have all been running hard, and Brandon Thomas maybe hadn't been getting those big plays, but Brandon Thomas runs hard, and we showed that again today. And I think that's what we're seeing. We always say, you guys ask, hey, Ryan, who's your starting running back? Is it Jay Ducker this week? Is it Asa Martin that showed some flashes? Brandon Thomas may have not been as productive the last 2 weeks, but then you guys say, why don't you put Sutton Smith in the game more? So I like kind of that. I don't want to use the word three-headed monster because that's not what we are, but I think the consistency at that position, they're all running hard, owning the football, and Brandon showed today that he can continue to be a hammerhead and obviously finish out the game the way we want it.
Before the season, you mentioned not being able to finish the game, not being able to start the game the way you wanted to on offense, but you did finish it. How crucial was it to approach the game on that last drive of the 5%?
Yeah, that's everything. I got asked on the Ladae Duzabel was a guy that played for me at Central Florida, and he was the ESPN Plus reporter, and he asked me back-to-back weeks, how much do you like 4-minute offense? And I said, when we can finish with the ball in our hands, freaking love. There's nothing better. There's nothing sweeter. I like watching him taking knees out there. That's music to my ears and a great, pretty sight. But being able to finish games is everything. We need to start fast. There's no doubt about it. I don't ever want to get in holes. I don't ever want to do what we did today as an offense. But the ability to finish games, if someone says, hey, Coach, how are your teams going to be known? Teams that finish and persevere, awesome. Sign me up for that. Put that on my darn gravestone, right? I mean, that's what I want, and that shows heart and character more than anything. But we do need to start faster and find the plan. Teams are doing different things to us, and so we've got to have it. I mean, it's interesting. You see, okay, from week 1 to week 2, like, wow, we hadn't seen that on film. Now they're doing different things, and and credit to the teams that we're facing. They're showing us different things they haven't, and we've got to be ready to execute and be able to adapt and overcome sooner in the game.
Before the game, you talked about Jalen Allen and how the defensive weapon. Looking at what he was able to do at Mississippi State, he had the pick six today. Just how has he kind of helped electrify the defense?
Yeah, Jalen Allen is a phenomenal leader, and what's great about Jalen Allen, he has an awesome motor, and he's got a mouth. The mouth of the South, man. He just goes and goes and goes and goes, and he backs it up, and he's encouraging, and he's commanding, and he's demanding, and guess what? He's smart, and he's tough, and he's relentless, and you're able to see it now. We saw some flashes of that last year, and you guys have been around kids saying, well, Jalen Allen's played here for a while. I think he's only started 5 games last year, and you'll say, well, man, why didn't he play more? And we had some other guys that played some in that outside backer position, but Jalen is a quick twitch, a great athlete that cares deeply about this team, and I think you see it by the way he plays. And it was great, that pick six, man. He was hauling for a 240-pound guy. Seth's going to text me tonight and say, hey, how about you looked at him as maybe like a tight end out there too? We should get some other ways to find him, ways to get him the ball. But quite pleased with him, and the way he leads and his energy he brings has been phenomenal.
You mentioned the offense didn't have rhythm early, but you did in the second quarter there. You had 2 touchdown drives in a row. I think the longest touchdown drive of the year so far. And then, I don't know if it was because of the injuries on the O-line, or I'm curious your thoughts on you went 6 straight drives with punts, a lot of 3 and outs. What do you think?
Yeah.
Your initial viewpoint on what happened there?
Yeah, Mark, obviously, I think it goes back to something that, we talked about earlier in the season. Again, I don't ever want to compare and contrast, but I think when you look out there, there's like one guy not doing their job on every play. And I'm not certainly I can say, we had no excuses on having backup linemen. That's college football, right? And we just didn't go out there and execute it. Sitting in one of those, it's like gut punch, man. Gut punch. Gosh darn, what do we got to do? But when you got a quarterback like Seth Hennigan that's rallying the troops, and every time, there was no phase, man, no pointing finger. Hey, let's do this. How do we go out there and execute? And so you guys asked that last week, how comforting is it to know that your quarterback can lead drives at any time, whether you're handing the ball off or throwing the ball, or him making attempts to run the football. You got great faith in him, and so that is huge for what we wanted to accomplish. But, Mark, just in general terms, I think every play, what we weren't doing, it was one guy making a mistake. We hit a first down on one of the passes, right, a 13-yard pass play, holding penalty, right, a missed block assignment. We had a one-on-one. A guy gets beat right at the snap, sack, a misread, right, a guy not running the correct route. Now you start to look at those things, and they add up play in, play out, and obviously we'll look at what we're doing play calling wise, but I think that series of missed events, whether it was 6, I didn't realize it was that, but it certainly did feel like we were not getting done what we needed to. And as you're watching, I believe it was one play. Hey man, this guy's got to do better here. What happened here? This guy's got to do better here. And so that stuff is fixable, and I think we'll be able to get that corrected.
Myers and Gamble, are they among those players that you're evaluating them at this point?
Yeah, I mean they were both on the sideline, so they were there and paying attention. We'll get them checked out, and they're 2 valuable guys that have played a lot of football for us and done so at a high level. And they asked me on the post-game radio. They said, Coach, well, the one position you don't brag about your depth at was O-line, and man, that's always a hard position to find depth. We talked about that on Monday, I think, at the press conference, guys, and hopefully they're okay. But you were able to get guys that Braxton Alford played a little bit more at the guard spot. Mikhail Pounders, a young man that got thrown in the mix. He played early, that was banged up himself. So I was able to get back in the mix. Some things we got to fix for sure, but hopefully, everybody's healthy. We can roll into a huge week versus Temple.
And it's for the 10th year in a row, so that defense is gelling right in the middle of the season. I think it's a 9th straight game. You had at least 1 turnover. How close is the defense to getting where you want them to be on a consistent basis?
Well, if they can get 3 turnovers a game, I'll be really darn happy. So, look, I think what happens is it is a new scheme. And we've played, and I think, Mark, you asked this, right, you're seeing all these different offenses. And you guys, if anybody that puts on our film says, wait, I thought you were 4 down. I thought you were 3 down. And so that's great as our guys continue to adapt to what is being asked of them in the scheme. And as they learn, they're able to execute a little bit faster. And then that's where you see those turnovers occur. And when guys have confidence in what they're supposed to do schematically, yes, guys can still make plays over the top. Guys can still do things from an execution point on our defense, and that's college football. But when you have confidence in what you're doing, a better knowledge of what the scheme's calling for, that's when you're able to go out there and get those type of turnovers because you got great faith in what you're doing.
Coach, you mentioned Dan Barto in your pregame remarks, or your pregame remarks here. Were there any conversations about that, and did that got to you kind of an emotional boost or anything going into?
Well, so it's been, almost 13 months since Stanton's passing, and I was at the funeral and. Sit there and think about everything, and I mean this wholeheartedly, what he meant to this community, what he meant to this city, what he meant to how much he loved this program. And I kind of shared with our guys yesterday in our team meeting, I said, I want you guys to understand you're going to see somebody's widow in the locker room when we come off the field. And you talk about a Warrior, 473 tackles. I mean, anybody in our team would say, sign me up for that, I'll take that. A Hall of Fame type career. And I think just, the ability to say, man, that's what I inspired to be, and how much he loved his Tigers, and then what he's able to do, being a scout for the Rams, and it's an honor to be able to go out there, and especially, like I said at the beginning, for the defense to play like they did. I think it was all because of, maybe it was a little bit of inspiration that way, but I know he was watching down, quite proud.
And retiring a program, for a program like Memphis, kind of speak on how significant that's going to be for you guys.
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, I go back to the type of person he was. I had the good fortune to get to know him a little bit, and always jovial and loved his Tigers. And, and I say this, and when I share these stuff with you guys, it's because I do take a lot of pride in have been here. We know the way this program's been, but 7 years in this program, I appreciate the history of all those things that came before me, whether it's Mike Norvell, Justin Fuente, Denton Bartow, Isaac Bruce, the legends. I mean, you go back to some of our Glenn Rogers Sr., you go back and you appreciate the history of a program, and that's where I take so much pride in, and that's where you get very filled with great joy when guys are able to go out there and do that, but also be able to honor such a great man, and pretty damn special.
Thank you, Ryan. Thanks, folks.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all coming out.